Hello, everyone, and welcome to our February San Francisco UX Writers Meetup. My name is Kirsten Forsberg. I am the meetup organizer and will be hosting today. Want to take a quick moment and say a big thank you to Indeed for hosting us and for Jason and Michael who are providing IT and AV support throughout the event. Now we have a couple housekeeping items before we get started. This meeting is being recorded and we'll post the recording on our meetup page and on our Slack channel so that way you can watch it later, or for those who aren't able to join us now, you can also attend. Closed captioning is available. That'll be on the bottom right corner of your Zoom toolbar under the CC. Chat and discussion throughout Carmen's presentation is available through either the Zoom chat or the Slack channel. I just posted a link to the Slack channel in our Zoom chat, whichever is easiest and available to you. We used to do this while we met in person, but I want to take a quick moment and see if there are any recruiters or hiring managers with us today who have open roles that they are hiring for or available. If you want to unmute and say hi and announce, go ahead. Okay, it doesn't look like we have any recruiters or anyone hiring with us today, but maybe at future events we'll have some. Our next event will be Wednesday, March 4th. Some details are still being finalized, but look for more information in the week to come. And that's all for announcements. I am excited to introduce Dr. Carmen Martínez, who is speaking to us today. She is a conversation analyst and ethnographer of communication, and she works at FlixBus doing conversational artificial intelligence. She is an expert in human-to-human conversation and works with a cross-disciplinary team to automate customer service interactions. She holds a PhD in conversation analysis and wrote Conversing in Spanish, an approach from conversation analysis. That's the English translation because I do not speak Spanish. Well, and on that note, I will transfer it over to Carmen. Go ahead and take it away.
Hello, good afternoon from Berlin. Thank you very much for. And I guess I start sharing already my screen with you guys. So yes, I'm Carmen. I'm working as a conversational UX expert at Flix Mobility Tech, also new as FlixBus. For those who don't know what is FlixBus, I think that we are operating also in California. FlixBus is a German company, it's a young mobility provider founded in Germany in 2013. And we are offering sustainable and comfortable traveling by bus through Europe and the USA. And yeah, I'm already got introduced. I work at FlixBus as a conversational UX expert, mainly at the moment working in the automation of customer service conversations through telephony. And I'm a conversation analyst. And just as a clarification, conversation analysts are not very common in the world. Basically, we are a part of interactive sociolinguistics, and inside of interactive sociolinguistics, we are the scientists that study human-to-human conversation. And okay, I'm very proud of this book. I know that you guys, you live in the USA, you speak English, but I guess that there are always people with Spanish as a first or second language in the public. So I recently published at the beginning of February, at the beginning of this month, this book called Conversar en Español, un enfoque desde el análisis de la conversación. That is basically what Kirsten said, would be like talking in Spanish, an approach from conversation analysis in which basically I have compile the human patterns of interaction that we use in human-to-human conversation, from which today I will tell you about error and repair. So this is basically the agenda for today. I will just make a short introduction to what is explicitly conversational UX design. I will walk you through what are errors in natural conversation. I will show you the interactive structure of repair sequences. That means how in human-to-human communication, when we find an error when talking to other person, how systematically recover from it. And I will show you then from that perspective that is human-centric and departing from human conversation, what is happening when your chatbot, in this case, doesn't understand. So from all the subdisciplines of conversational UX design, from text UX design or voice UX design, sorry, I have chosen the example of the chatbot because it's the most simple one. And at the end, I will show you some design ideas, and I will try to reserve from 20 to 15 minutes to Q&A. So I will try also to do all of this in a very practical way. So I will ask you during the presentation to type in the chat. So what is conversational UX design? Basically, conversational UX design is a relatively new area inside interaction design that has as a goal to create conversational interfaces that humans could use intuitively in order to perform tasks with a computer. And inside conversational UX design, we have three main areas, depending if we are designing for a text or graphical interface, like as is the case for the chatbots, and then we are practicing text-based conversational UX. If we are designing for an intelligent personal assistant like Amazon Alexa or Google Home, then the interaction is purely based in voice. And then we are practicing another thing that is called voice-based conversational UX, that is more close to the natural interface, to conversation itself that we use among humans is not supported by the images of text or the multimodality, and therefore is the most difficult conversational UX to practice. And at the end, if we have an interface like Google, the Google Assistant, yeah, that you may have in your phone, then we have a multimodal interface, and therefore we are practicing multimodal conversational UX because we are dealing with input and with both text and voice input and output. And on top of that, we are also playing with the graphical elements. So that is also very challenging. And this is because at the end, the most simple one, the one that is more close to a graphical interface in which we are using or we can optimize graphical items to enhance our conversation. That's the reason because I choose today to put the example from chatbots. Okay, so what is an error in natural conversation? An error is basically any illogical behavior that needs to be repaired in order to the conversation to continue and common ground to be maintained between interlocutors. So this basically means that sometimes when we are speaking, we say something that is not understood by our interlocutor, and that's break the common ground between the speakers. That is also known as intersubjectivity or mutual understanding. So common ground, mutual understanding, or intersubjectivity is the mental space that we are creating through conversation with other interlocutors to transfer existing ideas among our conscious human minds. What do I mean with this technical definition? What I mean is that at the end, conversation as spoken language, as a verbal interaction, what allows us human to do is that to transfer the ideas we have in our brain to other people's brains, like in this setting, I have some ideas about conversational UX design in my mind, and through talking, through conversation, although this is a talk, it's very unilateral, it's more like a monologue, I'm transferring these ideas to your brain. And with this transfer of information, we are creating a common ground in which we are managing our common understanding about the topic, about what we are speaking about. So as you see, there are technical concepts themselves, but I think that you are working with language. I suppose that most of you have a linguistic background, and these are the classical concepts that we use in linguistics, like context, intersubjectivity, coherence, and cohesion, among other ones. So this is an error in natural conversation. For example, somebody says, yesterday I meet Antonio on the street. And the other person said, Antonio? Antonio, yes, the guy who worked with me before. Ah, that's Antonio, yeah, what's up with him? So the error happened, and this states in the conversation. This second interlocutor lost the track. She didn't know at the beginning who was this Antonio, what was the topic spoken about. And through different devices I'm gonna show you next, basically the other person recovered the topic of the conversation, and the conversation could continue. And yeah, what is very beautiful about errors in natural conversation is that errors are natural to humans. And yes, surprising, no? And also they are taking a lot of space in our verbal interactions. So from corpora, from spoken interactions, the 13% of the time interlocutors are in an error state. Something is happening in the conversation that interrupt the understanding, and they have to build up these repair sequences. And they originate in a cognitive problem, in a hearing problem in which I don't understand what the other person is saying because I mispronounce or whatever inference of the context, or a speech problem. And errors are solved by applying a repair sequence, by applying a series of terms, as I showed you before, that basically take the humans out from the error state. This still sounds like very abstract, but we are gonna to practice it. Okay, so what is our human cognitive behavior when we are in an error state, kind of thing, if we would be automatas? Basically, errors are treated like one-time interruptions inside of the conversation. Once they are identified by speakers, they are solved locally and with the minimal number of utterances possible. The previous example, it was an exchange of 4 utterances, and the conversation continues with the main topic right after that. And the repair sequences have their own fixed structure. This is what I was referring at the beginning with the approach of conversation analysis to natural conversation. Normally, people think, as everybody uses language and everybody uses conversation, that conversation is very spontaneous, and this is not the truth. In order to maintain this common ground, this intersubjectivity, we use a certain set of patterns for different problems that we locally find in the conversation, and for achieving a different kind of set of social goals. And let's go then to the most practical part of the presentation, which is the interactive structure of repair. So basically, in a repair, in order to get out from the error state, first it has to be an error. That is called the origin of the problem. That is also, if you get interested about this topic and you go and check out the bibliography, it's also called trouble source or reparable. And it basically is the problem. is the understanding, hearing, or speech problem. After that, we have the repair initiation, that is the turn, the U-turns, in which the interlocutors that realizes the problem focalize, stop the conversation and focalize the attention in the problem. Sorry, my son is speaking to me. Páralo simplemente. Bueno. Sorry. And basically, just a moment, please.
Sorry for the interruption. I know that many of us have been on either side of this where we have a pet or a family member. My internet just went out a minute or two ago. So one of the luxuries of this strange time that we are in is that we can all meet together. But you know, there are complications. Carmen, I think you are still on mute.
Okay, yes. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, this was, I was more afraid about the internet going down to this, but finally the second option happened. I'm sorry, I'm back anyway. So yeah, so basically in this moment of repair initiation, there is a turn in which one of the speakers focus attention in the communicative breakdown and frame the question. Basically, that can happen by producing a question or repeating as a question a part of the previous turn where the problem is. And after that, we have the repair outcome because we have to need to have a solution. And what is very interesting about a human is that if the misunderstanding is too complex or is too difficult to explain and the other person just get the general idea, the problem is abandoned. And at the end, there is a part where the other speaker acknowledges the presence of acknowledge the solution, agrees that that is the solution to the error, and after that the conversation continues. So let's see this in practice. It's not so complicated as it seems. So we have the same example than before. So we have yesterday I meet Antonio on the street, and Antonio would be the origin of the problem, and there happens the repair initiation where the other interlocutor that doesn't know at the moment who this Antonio was frame the problem with a question. And after that, we have the repair outcome, in this case, the explanation of who was this guy. And the solution acknowledgement comes with this discourse market. Normally it's a paralinguistic element like, depends on the language, of course. And so a neutrons that acknowledge the solution of the problem. So I played again. So Antonio, the origin of the problem, the repair initiation, the question, the framing neutrons, the repair outcome is the explanation, and this is the solution acknowledgement. And after just the topic continues. So this is for you guys. And let's play now a little bit together the conversation analyst. So we have this exchange between Ana and Juan. And basically Ana is saying, so he told me that he had been hiking in Spain in the place where he visited too. In what was the name of that place? The one with the forest? The Irati forest? Yes, that one. The Irati forest. He told me that he had also slept in the same hotel than us. So just take 2 minutes and write, please, in the chat, the origin of the problem, the repair initiation, the repair outcome, and the solution acknowledgement. And after we will review it together. So you can write, for example, origin of the problem, 2 dots, and the part of the utterance, the part or the sentence in this first utterance that you think that is the origin of the problem, and so on. So 2 minutes. I see that it's coming very nicely. I wonder now why my son's interruption didn't happen now during the exercise. Yes, so I think that you are getting it very nicely. So we have the name of the place. I mean, linguistically, this hesitation here, the extension of the sentence would be the market of the origin of the problem. The problem is in the name of the place. He's trying to recover it from his lexicon, but it's not available at the moment. So the repair initiation happens here. What was the name of that place? It's a call for help. In the previous example was coming from the other person, from the other interlocutor, because he didn't understand what the other person was saying. But in this case, repair can be also initiated by the speaker when we don't have access to something. There is a memory breakdown and we want to ask help from the interlocutor. And the answer comes with the name of the place. And that's, although it's a question, and I think that Juan is not completely sure that he's providing the right solution. Finally, it is the name of the place that he was, that Anna was looking for. And after that, the conversation continues. So you got it perfectly. And another question to put an answer in the chat also is that cognitive, is this a cognitive hearing or a speech problem? I think it's pretty straightforward. Yes, it's cognitive. It's a problem of a memory breakdown in the speaker that doesn't have access to the lexicon. So yeah, as a bonus point, this is the beautiful Irati forest in the north of Spain, in the Basque Country. And let's go to another example. So now there is Ana again and Juan speaking about a party. And they say, and everybody was like crazy in the party. The whole thing went really out of control. What party? Yeah, true, you weren't there. My brother's birthday. We celebrated it on Sunday. What did you do, guys? So what is the origin in the problem now? The repair initiation, the repair outcome, and the solution acknowledgement for this case. Please type again. Okay, so it's coming also correctly, no? So the origin of the problem is the party. The other interlocutor doesn't know what party are they speaking about. Juan frames the problem with the question. That is the repair initiation. What party, what are you speaking about? The repair outcome would be the explanation about the party, the birthday that they were having going on Saturday, and the solution acknowledgement would be only or another equivalent paralinguistic element. So is it again a cognitive, a hearing, or a speech problem? Jerome is very motivated. It's a cognitive problem. Yes, because basically doesn't know what they are speaking about. It loses the topical referent of the conversation. Okay, and as a bonus point, and this was a kind of a joke, no? This is a party, you know, we haven't been close so much time that this was actually how a party was looking like, with people, you know, together with music, having fun, and maybe soon we will be able to enjoy another one. Okay, so I think that you are getting it, the before times, yes, with parties. This is basically what is happening when humans don't understand, when we go to error state. And when is happening, what is happening when your chatbot doesn't understand? And I'm gonna start basically giving an example from a case in which the chatbot does understand. So I have this mock-up that is called Masaniello. Masaniello is a real place in Berlin. If you have visited, guys, it's basically a pizzeria in Neukölln that is selling maybe the best pizza in town from Naples. And this is basically how a happy path with Masaniello goes. Can you see, by the way, the chatbot, the screen with the chatbot? I guess so, yes. And yeah, so it greets the customer. It shows different options from the most requested pizzas. This is a super happy path because the customer goes to one of the offered and get two of them, doesn't want to order anything else, and doesn't want drinks, doesn't want any extra. And after that, the chatbot gathers the information of the customer, and with the name and the address, offers the link to finish the payment, inform about the time that the delivery will take. And as a closer for this conversation, there is still a feedback block and a goodbye. And this is a happy path. This is how it goes when everything basically works fine. Okay, I go back to the PowerPoint. And yes, so with the happy path, basically everything goes smoothly. After the offer, the customer can express that he wants a pizza, and after that, the recommendation continues. But we are very much aware, and if you are interacting with chatbots or voice assistants, that the most of the times they are going into the unhappy path situation in which, yeah, the system request make a query, the user says something it was unexpected. I want to see what is new, for example, and after that, the system goes to error state. And there are different kind of errors in systems, but the most typical one is the fallback intent, in which the user written input, in this case for the chatbot, is out of domain. It's a kind of a cognitive problem also for the chatbot, because what the user says cannot be matched with any good level of confidence to the intents that the system has. And the sample utterances that you as a conversational designer or as a system trainer don't serve the system to pick a suitable intent. So yeah, you go into the situation in which the chatbot is asking, how may I help you? And the other person say, I want to see what is new. And we get into the sorry, but I don't understand. And if you have been interacting with the conversational systems, these utterances, yes, they do express that the system is in an error state, but it doesn't help the conversation to continue. In human communication, as in human-to-machine communication, the last goal is to continue the linearity of the interaction, not to get stuck into the error, to solve it as most graciously we can, and to continue with the interaction. And yeah, another view of the sample utterances. So in order to the chatbot to recommend you the most famous pizzas, you have given as training sentences these ones that they are more likely are provided by the user, and in that case the chatbot can react properly. But if they say something out of the domain, then they go into the sorry, but I don't understand. And so what can we do then? We need to recover the conversation, and we have to find a way to continue the transaction. And yeah, this is not so straightforward to do, because now, after being aware to this perspective of human-to-human communication, if you go and you start testing chatbots around the internet, you will see that the majority of them, they have this approach in which, yeah, you have a start, and after they give some recommendation, and if you don't click one of the buttons and you use the text input bot here, this is an example extracted from Facebook Messenger, they go into a strange behavior. Like, for example, here we have this loop of repetition of the same option that I did it up to 3 times, but I'm sure that if I would be with the Domino Pizza bot all the night just typing things that were completely out of the domain, it will just keeping showing again and again and again the same block. So I would like to ask you now to type in the chat, to take like 1 minute or 2, and to think what kind of conversational strategy would you design for this situation. So the Domino Pizza chatbot would be getting out from the error state. And yeah, we are thinking also about a happy situation in which we don't have any technology limitations. So you just, as a conversational designer, you have to find a solution so the customer can continue into ordering or tracking or customer support without clicking anything and still being able of training. What other solution would you get for this case? And remember, there is not like ultimate solution for it. Could be many solutions. Okay, we have already a confirmation intent. Come on, be brave. Please type something. For example, initiate a repair to give a linguistic clue to the user that is in error state. Also, the word menu should trigger order. Yes, there is like problems with training because it's such a basic word that should be the part of the order intent. So we should retrain the chatbot. Oh, there is really a lot of solutions. I'm gonna let you guys like 1 or 2 minutes more to propose them, and after I will comment on them. Okay, so I'm gonna start from end to top. So yeah, Carla says to add more buttons or options to the menu. This is the best practice normally is to add up to 4, and it shouldn't be infinite options, and the last one should be an other that redirect the user to a kind of submenu where the less likely options are classified. To offer something, do you want to see a photo of our pizzas? To add more buttons, like it sounds you are willing to order a pizza. Am I correct? Like a confirmation intent. Yeah, that is very clever, because basically, although maybe the system is a completely in fallback state, but if we just give a recommendation, it sounds, I understand that you want to order a pizza. Is this true or false? Okay, it's false. But after that, still we can redirect into another option if it was not that one. If they want to talk to a human, yes. Forward to the human agent should be an option also if they are really providing customer service with the chatbot or with the automated telephony. And yeah, instead of repeating the prompt, yeah, to tell the user what explicitly has to do in order to continue the conversation, and telling that, okay, the bot is not so smart yet. This is tricky, you know, because we don't want to give also an image that our chatbot is stupid or is limited in intelligence. But yeah, like by controlling the face of the persona of the system, saying, I'm not sure, you know, like I'm in the same page with you. So I understand now that you want to do this. Is this correct? So yeah, as you see, you can browse also yourself in the chat. You got yourself already from this perspective in human communication, a lot of possible solutions that will took basically the situation out of this error state that it seems like a block for the user. You know, the system doesn't understand, and the designer hasn't implemented any conversational strategy to get the user out of it, and therefore is very difficult to recover the conversation, to take it anywhere. Let me, I continue, I stop it sharing completely, sorry. Let me go to the second mockup. So just as an example, the solution I came out with, a very simple one that you also thought in the same way, is that, okay, if in that this states the customer says something that is out of the domain, hi, I want to see what is new in the menu, the chatbot would say, I'm not sure if I understand, you know, disclosing that I am in error state, but let me give you some options, making you aware as a human that we are not here in the same ground. You see, the intersubjectivity between the system and the human is broken. So, hey, human, you have to help me a little bit now to take me out of this error state. And yeah, again, this is a meetup, and we are going back to the super happy path. So yeah, it selects pizzas. And after that, just I link to the most famous pizzas. And in this situation where the user is coming after this misunderstanding state, so my template will be a little bit different. I think I got it now. Smiley, no? here you have our most famous pizzas, you know, so you can also fix this moment of not proper comprehension between the system and the human with wording that is custom to the context. And this was everything. I have only some conclusions from the my PowerPoint. Sorry, my PowerPoint. Yes, here. So basically, as wrapping as main takeaways, although we can still review them in the Q&As, errors between the system and the human are going to be always a part of the experience. Also, if you have gone yourself through the documentation for developers or designers in Amazon or in Google, they really make a lot of emphasis on them. And sometimes also you will find these examples of error solution that is translated from all IVR practices in which they are recommending to the designer to escalate the error. I mean, this example of where are you traveling from? I'm traveling from San Francisco tomorrow. I want to travel. I mean, like, for example, if you are interacting with a chatbot that is facilitating you to book airplane tickets. The chatbot asks you, where are you traveling tomorrow? Where do you want to travel tomorrow? I want to travel to San Francisco in 1 week. I'm sorry, I don't understand. Please repeat the name of the city. You say the city and it doesn't understand. And after ask you again the date. These are strategies of error recovery that they are working for the system, but they are not working for the human model of the repair itself. And this is the reason because it's making us so anxious and angry when we get into these situations. And the wording that they are proposing, or the typical one that you can see using chatbots or in voice assistant, they are like barriers, no, like, sorry, I'm still learning. Sorry, I don't understand. Okay, I know that you are not so intelligent yet, but please help me out of this error. Let's continue somehow the interaction. So also you can improve that by copywriting. And use what you know about human conversation to recover the conversation with the system. And that also will make the experience more approachable from the human perspective. And yes, all these intents that they are going into fallback, basically they're like a mine of gold. Is the best time of a conversational designer to go through these logs that didn't work and to take them as an opportunity of having fresh sample iterations to retrain the system or to expand the capabilities. And basically that was everything on my side. I'm open now to Q&A, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for walking us through that presentation and the examples. I know that I learned a lot. I did want to highlight a quick question from Chuck in the chat. He said, I'm a bit confused here. The user's original question was never answered. And I forgot what the user's original question was, but it does seem to highlight a pattern kind of that I've seen when I've tried to use chatbots. What's the balance of making sure that a user's question is answered versus kind of channeling the user into the structure or the format that the bot can navigate?
Very good question. I think that at the beginning you start with little information about your user. You, of course, you do like in any other design process, user research, and you have your discovery phase, and so you base your first prototyping to what you think that the standard conversation is going to look like. But of course, you don't have all the information. So also you have to protect yourself as a conversational designer and to design all this narrow path in which, you know, like a little bit like the one I was showing from Basaniello, in which you don't have a lot of options for clicking, for writing. I want you to click. I want you to follow my path. But as you understand more the real customer behavior, through the different iterations of the software and also analyzing your transcripts and so on, you can start opening the system and start to substitute those buttons by intents that they can trigger. They can be triggered also by written input. And for me, this is a process. I think that you have to start small and on the safe page for you as a designer and for the user and for everybody, and expand it as you go.
I think that advice, start small and what's comfortable for you and then grow, is applicable in many situations.
Make it easy.
Yeah. A question from Pedro. Do you think error messages should state the problem in the headline at all times? For instance, if our product voice is more on the optimistic side, does it make sense to offer the solution on the headline and explain the problem in the description? Should voice guidelines prevail over usability guidelines?
Uy, I don't understand the question. Can you rephrase?
Yeah, Pedro, if you want to rephrase your question, you can go ahead and put it in the chat and then I will re-ask it.
Okay.
I'll move on to Sid's question while Pedro is able to reframe the question.
Maybe just too late for me, you know.
Yeah. This question is a little out of context. Do you use reload page or refresh page? I am stuck, please help. So I guess when either the user or the interface is stuck, how do you navigate out of that stuck experience?
Very interesting. This is actually a capability that you can add. I remember the first time that I offer it to the developers, you know, like, what about if we put a restart button here? And the developers were looking at me, you know, in my current team, like only Carmen can propose a reload kind of button. But actually it makes all sense, at least for me also as a human interacting with the system, because if I reach into the point that I cannot deal with you system, I want to reload. I want to go from the beginning and basically create or explore if there are other possibilities in which I can get a successful interaction with the system. So yeah, I would add it as a capability.
A question that I had while we were doing some of the exercises, you had mentioned that you, if I understood correctly, that you didn't want to immediately highlight, I mean, we all know that talking with a robot is not the same thing as talking with a human. But what's the balance of wanting to set expectations that you are talking with a robot without highlighting all of the shortcomings or problems or challenges? What's the balance of setting expectations versus reality?
Very good question. I think that setting the right expectations at the time of speaking with a system is fundamental. I mean, you have to mention at the beginning of the interaction, especially if it's happening over the telephone, that you are speaking with the system, because although the current text-to-speech synthetic voices still sounds very robotic, but I have also observed myself in the reading on the transcript that people forget that they are speaking with a system very easily. And although for me, it doesn't sound like a normal human voice. So you always have to say that you are speaking with a system, because then also there are experiences from other designers. I haven't found them still on the form of formal research that tell you that it's more like experience that designers are gathering. But yeah, we have like a common agreement that if you tell the user that is speaking with the system, for example, in the context of error, the human will give more opportunities to the system because he's aware that he's speaking with the system and it's not perfect. So this is very important. I think that's and to set the expectations and each state of the conversation, because sometimes you're gonna have situation or use cases in which, yeah, the system can manage your mindset, but in another cases you have complex use cases that they are related to people being angry or really wanted to be transferred to a human agent in which the system is not going to perform properly. So just keeping the mutual awareness that you are interacting with a system is the proper thing to do.
Yeah, thank you for that. I have a good question from Ian. What tools do you use for defining your interaction paths or decision trees?
The one that I saw you with the demo, Bot Society, is actually a company based there in San Francisco. and so, yeah, there's for me, as I depart from linguistic view of conversation, the traditional prototyping tools that are used in graphical UX, Figma, Adobe, and so on, they were not completely useful because what I want to see is that the decision tree that Bot Society provides, there is another option in which you can convert that interaction into a tree. And also I want to see this text coming the one after the other in a dialogue, so I can control aspects of the microcopy, coherence, cohesion, and style in general, and see everything as a text. So yeah, Bot Society.
Thank you. Pedro, thanks for re-asking your question.
Okay.
So for error messages, there's error messages that state the problem on the headline, and others that state the solution to the problem first.
Okay.
For conversational design, what's the best approach?
Like in the help intent, no, like I can help you to do this or that, or in order to do this, press this. I think that the final goal of conversational design is to do everything as implicit as possible. But of course, this is not always possible with a system. So I think that it depends on the context. You know, sometimes you don't want to show very much to the customer that the system is in an error state, so you don't lose the face of your agent. You know, like the case that I was commenting before, that the conversational agent would sound too stupid. You know, you don't want also to project that brand image. And yes, so for some cases in which I want, for example, the customer to rephrase, I would only create a copy like say again, please, and see what they come out. But if you say then something like, I'm sorry, I don't understand, could you repeat the sentence? You are telling the user to repeat what they say, so they will produce the same utterance. So I think it's very much context-based, but also paying very much attention to the microcopy of what is your final goal with that error recovery. You know, so if you want really to state that they have to do something in order to solve the conversation at this point, tell it explicitly. But if you want them to do something in an indirect way, create them indirect copy.
That makes sense. I think this will be our last question for today. This question is from Michael. Do you find that designers and developers are receptive to these kinds of insight from human conversation analysis? How do you help your team see that this expertise is helpful and they don't just need to A/B test to solve every problem?
Yes, I think that I was very lucky myself because well, I work currently in a team when I am the only conversational designer, and everybody else has a technical background. I have the product owner, 3 software developers, and a data analyst. And everybody is fine with me because I think that well, everybody's fine with me. It's a strange way of saying that, like, because actually when they hire me, the team has acquired the level of maturity to acknowledge that, yeah, what they were building was great, but actually they were needed the knowledge of somebody with the knowing about the user experience. So I think that it took me really a lot of time to find that nice place to work in, and this is because I'm so happy, and I was when I have this public speaking, I'm happy to spread the word about FlixBus because they were having this openness of mind. I think that's it took me 2 years of freelancing up to the point that I got into a permanent position with them, and I think that it's getting more and more and more different, that software developers are getting awareness that, okay, that they cannot take it as far as they could if they don't take the user experience with it, but I think it's going to take a little bit of time. Yeah.
I think that good things often take time. And as the industry changes, as it grows, as it expands and gets more momentum behind it, I think that it'll be beneficial for us. Thank you so much, Carmen, for coming today. And thank you everyone for joining us today. I know I learned a lot. The recording, we'll post it on our meetup page, and we'll do that within a couple days. Quick reminder that our next event is Wednesday, March 24th, so in about a month. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out on Slack, Meetup, LinkedIn. And thank you all for coming, and I will see you next month.
Thank you. Bye-bye.